So I saw you nodding your head like, hurry the fuck up. Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting you as always from the Pine Hills Palace in the Extreme Studios just west of Orlando, Florida. I have from the Great Midwest one, RDV with me. Apologize for the slight delay here, too. There was RDV, it's hard to explain for people who aren't like Florida man like me, born and raised here, where like I'm out here on my 5 acres palatial estate where my German Czechoslovak short-haired Reds are running around on the ground, keeping me safe from all the violence. So we could talk about the movie tonight, Deadpool and Wolverine, that just came out. I had this little like door open, like over my fishing pond here that I've got. It's fully stocked, of course. And this guy came out of it and he had this thing on. We're like, I don't know what the hell he was talking about. And then I realized, oh no, it's just Deadpool and Wolverine because I'd be honest. You're the expert out of us two when it comes to the Marvel and DC universe. I admit to not necessarily being a fan of the majority of the movies. Knew nothing about it. This was an okay movie for me as far as what they were doing. We'll dive into it, but there'll be some specific things I'm going to have to ask you as we go along. Is this good or bad or meant to be? What's your initial take?
Well, I was interested in yours because I know you're not a big fan of the MCU. No. And this is kind of outside the MCU. This is and I can't remember if you're a fan of Ryan Reynolds comedies or not.
I think Ryan Reynolds has a very nice. Of course, he's a very sarcastic in a smarmy, harmless sort of way, rather than dangerous sort of way. The one thing about him that I going into this movie for me personally, and I'm in a minority probably here is, we know Hugh Jackman can be physical. We know he's a solid actor. To me, he carries the heavy acting in here, which is fine. That's the character. I thought he did a great job. I have no problem with here. What sold me on this was two things. One, Ryan Reynolds, from my understanding, correct me here again if I'm wrong, this is more of a passion project for him. Obviously, I think he's a billionaire from owning Mint Mobile and other businesses and stuff like that. I've got no problem with his business acumen there. But the fact that, kind of like Kevin Costner, we had talked about putting his own money up for the Western we reviewed recently, whether you like it or not, or it's a flop or not, I appreciate when artists do that. So I was going, okay, hopefully he's free of any constraints and he wants to make the kind of movie he wants to. And I know there's been this long running joke to get Wolverine in there. And you by itself as a movie, I don't give a shit how stupid the dumb plot is because it's lame and I don't really care for it. In my opinion, that's not why we're watching it. As I put there in chat right when we were rebooting there was the fact, the thing that for me not watching this thing I popped hard for was, of course, the stupid Doug ugly dog, which I don't know if that's the ugliest dog in the world. I've seen a dog like that.
I think they're going for that though.
Yeah, and also of course, and I'll just simply say this, Blade. But that we do have a lot of other cameo type things.
Yes, and there will be spoilers tonight for those who are not expecting spoilers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, So for me, I like this because this is an MCU. This is us looking into the MCU, and Wade, his character, his character Deadpool has always been known to break the fourth wall in the comic books.
Yes.
Where She-Hulk did it as well.
In the comic books, you mean?
Yeah, in the comic books too, but they incorporate that into the movie. Okay. And for those who watch the She-Hulk TV series, that was just complete woke nonsense and horrible stuff. Where this is more catered towards the people who are fans of just general. He points out his stupidity. If you like the Fox movies, or don't like the Fox movies, this movie actually he acknowledges the characters from everybody from Fox, and he makes jokes about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit talking here, but let me back up because again, I'm the ignorant one here. Can you briefly describe Deadpool's origin, in terms of the comics?
In the comic books, I mentioned it's the same we saw in the first movie. I'm not exactly keen on the origins of his, but apparently he was a Weapon X, because Weapon X was Wolverine in this Canadian facilities, and they basically Wade was meant to be the next version up, but obviously
the T2 of Wolverines.
Yeah. But obviously it didn't work as well as you saw for those who watched the first movie. And this is kind of straying away from the comic books as far as Wade a little bit. He's got the comic accurate suit, which I loved. But he's also got the same kind of humor too as well you see in the comic books. But I like the fact that this was meant to be this is a Fox character going into Disney, and this basically was making fun of Disney the whole entire time and Fox.
Absolutely.
Which I liked about it, and that's why I've come to love the Deadpool movies. And he, like I said, he's had this thing where he makes fun of Hugh Jackman. Did in the last movie. When actually it was the first movie when he took his mask off. He was wearing, he had Hugh Jackman's face stapled to over his face. A little poster. And so it was a big deal to finally get Hugh Jackman into this. And Hugh Jackman, everybody's wanted him since the first. Those who watched the first X movies by Fox weren't the best movies, and he never wore the costume. The yellow and black blue costume there, which was the comp costume. Everybody wanted him to wear the mask in this too. And so for those who are lost as far as where the yellow costume comes from, I think it was in Wolverine 2. The second movie, no, it's not Wolverine Origins. It's the other one that comes after it, where he goes to Japan. He gets it in the lead scene. He gets his briefcase with a suit on, and he says, "No way," like basically making fun of it. That was Fox making fun of the costumes because it would never work. And that's why Deadpool says, like, he makes comments about things like, "Oh yeah, costume wouldn't work. My comic accurate, my ass," because that's what he's been wearing, and that's also making fun of the movie executives who don't know comic books. Oh, super comic book accurate costumes would never work. It worked for Christopher Reeve, Superman. So basically,
absolutely, yeah. I mean,
so that's one of the reasons why I actually like these. These are popcorn films. These aren't meant to be taken super serious. They're not like the most like Horizon is more serious than this is. So I like this because this is basically a love letter to those who came around this journey, watch all the Fox movies. Now Fox has gone to Disney, and basically the story, we'll say real quickly, or shortly, the story is that Wade's universe is dying. For those who watch Loki, there's a multiverse was created and stuff, and there was people who wanted to basically trim the multiverse. The TVA was one of them. They basically did not like the multiverse. They wanted to trim it. Kang the Conqueror was involved in all that BS.
Okay, so this just wasn't made up for this movie.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's some tying into stuff. Like the TVA was connected to the Loki TV show.
Gotcha.
I guess I didn't watch the second season, so I'm guessing that's where the other lady is, the one that looks like Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad, the fat black lady. She comes in here. So basically, his world's dying, and Wade's pulled out of it. They also know for the third time, at least for that. Actually, yeah, that Wade is not with Vanessa. That they kind of broke up. Apparently, he went to off-world. He went to Earth 616, which is the main Marvel universe, but using Table's time thing he got for the second movie, and went to trial for the Avengers. The Avengers basically, well, because he meant Happy there. He's Happy Hogan and Stark wasn't there. I don't know if this is the world where Tony's dead, but whatever. But and this Jim Farbo conversation was really cool though. He's like, wait, why aren't you the driver? You used to be, and like,
so
yeah. But I like this, and basically it comes down is that it reveals the plot of the movie. It says you don't care about others, you just care about yourself. At this point where and that's kind of why him and Vanessa broke up, because he was moping around because he wanted to be Deadpool, but there was nothing to do. It was boring. His Earth was boring, and he's sad. He just didn't feel complete. It's like he's in those cases where a guy retires from being a superhero, and
what are you gonna do with the rest of your life?
Yeah.
The whole adjusting thing.
Like cops when they retire. Sometimes, like they still want on the beats, but they can't because they're too old. You gotta adjust.
Can I ask you a really stupid observation here?
Sure.
So that's exact the vibe of it, and it's like anything. We've seen, of course, a serious version of it with Rambo. How do you adjust coming back from something, right? Of course, in that case, it's Vietnam War. Here we have the superhero thing, and I thought I don't know and remember the movies that well, and I have seen the other Deadpool ones.
Yeah.
Two things. Lorraine, The actress, she's just a complete smoke show. The more you watch her, the more beautiful she looks, and nobody ever talks about it. It's just incredible. She does have a very good screen presence, like being a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. And in here, she's in it just enough. But what I didn't understand was, okay, if they were boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't know if she got died or shot at in the last one, what they were referring to, because I don't remember. That's why I'm bringing this up. But it's like, this dude's a stud, and yet you still left him. I mean, I can see why he's suicidal, not because she left him, but because it's like, okay, I'm Deadpool and you left me. Okay, like you say, I need to do something big with my life. No, screw you. I just want to chill and relax with my 9 friends, and that's it. Sell some cars.
She knew that he wasn't happy, and he wouldn't tell her. He was kind of closing her off, and they got to the point. So, and he told her, he said, he basically broke up with her. Okay, anyway, so the TVA guy pulls him out of there and says, "Your timeline's dying." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, I'll just go back in there. I'm Deadpool. I'm obviously it's my world. I'm the main person." He says, "No, the main person that held your world together was Wolverine, Logan. Those who watch Logan died." So he's like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" I love it though. I love that he's like, "You freaking kidding me? That guy?"
But he died bringing the young Weapon X female version and some others, I guess, to safety.
Yep.
Very heroic.
Very heroic death. And he's like, so he goes to so then he basically, the TVA are gonna get ready to race him. He's like, and basically, well, they have the little prods to do. If they touch you, they can it basically sends you to what's called this wasteland place. We'll get to that soon. But he ends up seeing the main guy. I forget what it is, Proximus or something like that, or whatever,
something like that. Yeah, Proximus or whatever.
Yeah. And
which of course is a traitor. It's a double take.
Yeah, because he's gonna like destroy his world. He's gonna put a time splitter in there and just erase it faster. Because he said, he told Wade, he's like, well, technically you have over a couple more thousand years before your timeline erases completely.
Yeah.
So anyway, Deadpool steals his little teleporter thing, just like Loki did to Luke, not Owen Wilson's character. So his little the way it looks like, reminds me of those old calculators, the rectangle ones that flip open, or the ones you have little things. Anyway, he steals his time travel thing, goes back into his own world. He goes to take up Logan's body. He's like, I know you're not. He's like, you can't die. You're just like me. And then he's like. He's just sitting there next to the skeleton. The claws. He's like, it's basically screwed up. And it's just like this whole opening sequence. I like this. So when all the TV guys are coming in, they're gonna try and attack him. He starts basically using the adamantium skeleton as a weapon. And
it's pretty involved. A lot of the stop motion kind of stuff, very very elaborate, and they actually made it go for a long time. So
yeah.
I appreciate the fact that they kept it extremely violent, and they do not hold back with the creativity in their violence, which we don't really get to see a lot. I mean, if that's the thing that turns you
on the bones,
about it.
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, I didn't watch this in 3D. It is available in 3D though. If you for those who want to watch, I'm curious. That probably would be your 3D screen, your part.
Yes.
And other things. Eventually takes Wolverine's claws strapped to his arm. He's like, oh great. He's like, and there's a scene where he gets stuck with the guy's crotch, and the guy's so he's like, can't get stuck. He's like, how do I get this out? But the greatest, I was laughing because he started dancing the bye.
I did not like that.
This is an ode to like basically 90s stuff. And
it is.
And like I said, I'll explain why you get a lot of these songs and stuff in here too, because when we get to the end, I'll explain the reason why. Because I found out there's someone he likes joins the cast, and there's something there was basically a love letter to them. But yeah. So there is actually a reason. So basically after this, he ends up going and he jumps to another world, and he runs into the different versions of Wolverine.
Well, Back to the Future. I was like, I like this. I get it, right?
Days of Future Past Wolverine, and it actually looked like Wolverine. He's jumping around, and then there's another Wolverine there, another Wolverine there, and then we get the Calverine. Was awesome. Henry
Calverine, yes.
Henry Cavill is Wolverine, and he just, it's just so great. He's like, holy shit. Calvary. He's like, I told you, like, you should have joined us. You know, we'll treat you better.
I thought Cavill did good with what little screen time he had. Just the way he would squint and be like, "That's right, bub." And of course,
I love that because he's
roll.
ripped too. He's still ripped, even though he's not only Superman. He's still in. Oh my wow.
Yeah.
And then he also came across the comic accurate Wolverine. It was Hugh Jackman, really short.
Yes. Yes.
So people are saying, like, why is there a midget version? Like, because that's what he is in the comics. He's that tall. So I thought that was funny. Of course, he comes across the one you see in the trailer where he's drinking at the bar. And this is the Wolverine that basically failed to protect everybody. Everyone else, you know, died while he was away. And and he's been moping around and stuff. And then him and Logan basically getting a fight together. But then they end up basically back at the TVA. Same guy, Proximus, whatever, or Proximity, I don't know. Ends up revealing his evil plan, and then he basically eats him down to basically the waste world, where if those watch season 1 of Loki, when you get stabbed by those little wands, you end up in the recycle pit, you know, and he runs into what looks like Captain America.
So let me pause you here at this particular scene because, again, this is something that I'm unaware of because I don't watch the stuff with Loki. I thought there's a lot of meta stuff and inside stuff some of might catch or miss. And so to me, when they went down here, you're seeing like they make a reference to, how do I say this? 20th Century Fox. You see like the Fox logo half buried in the sand.
Because this is the junk pit where basically where Marvel Disney shelves
all the shitty stuff goes to die. Exactly. And I thought, oh my God, they're actually making this an angle. Okay, that's kind of stupid in terms of the story, but I like him being absurd and it's his movie. So I'm hoping this is free from usual conventions, so I didn't mind it. They even talk about how it's kind of Mad Max-ish, which actually is a big thing in here too. And
he says IP infringement. Oh, it's
yeah, exactly. Because it's actually significant because they spend the majority of their time down here. Really, most of the movies here, and so the whole Captain America Avenger angle thing. I didn't know if this was actually related to the other movies and stuff too.
No, this was. They thought it was like, holy crap, we know you. And you could see Chris's face. So you're Captain America, and then all of a sudden he takes his robe off, his shroud off, and he's got the Fantastic Four. It's Human Torch. Chris Evans. I popped so hard. I was like, yes, because I'm like, it's Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. And he's like, flame on and all this stuff, and I was just like, he's throwing a fireball. I was like, it's great and stuff. And they're approached by Toad from the first movie. From the X-Men movie, you know, and also the Sabretooth from the X-Men movie, also Pyro from the X-Men movie. So you get to see these guys, the original actors from those movies, reprising their roles, which is kind of cool for them. Probably like, really, in a way, the best way to describe this movie, it felt like No Way Home. You're getting a lot of familiar face, a lot of nostalgia coming in, but this is the Deadpool rated R version of that,
right?
I think that's what really helped it for me. That's what helped it for a lot of people, because No Way Home was a big movie, big hit for Marvel because of that. Because you brought in the A-lister actors and stuff. You brought in William Dafoe. You brought in the guy who played Otto Octavius. You know. So and you brought in the other two Spider-Man. So this movie kind of, because you're allowed to have variants cameos. There's a lot of cameos, and they actually are worth it. Not they're just like, hey, what's up? You know, that's it. They're gone. No, they actually are part of the story. So as they're down there, they end up getting They after we get this big thing. He's like, and I love it because like Sabretooth sees Wolverine. And he's like, and Wade's like, "That's your brother." He's like, "Who?" Because he has no idea this is from the world. And they fight, and he just cuts his head off and bounces. I'm like, wow, that was kind of anticlimactic. Because this apparently is that.
Well, they're under a time constraint.
I know, so right?
They're trying to find out who this person is. Like, kind of like is like the boss in the shithole, right?
And they get him to get captured in the little thing with Johnny Storm, and they're like, and because what happens is Wade Toad operates as a magnet basically, and then Wade's behind him gets smushed between Wolverine and the magnet, and they're in this little ball being dragged, and they're with Johnny Storm, and then as it keeps going, eventually they come across what looks like, well, it's Ant-Man.
Dr. Evil's mountain.
Yeah, it's Ant-Man. He has the hands closed, and he's on there, and you find out, well, when it pops up at his skull, and same. I saw this joke in the trailer too. He's like, "Wow, Paul Rudd finally aged."
Yeah.
Cassandra Nova comes walking out. Cassandra Nova being, for those of the comic books who don't know, they explain in here in the movie too. She's the twin of Charles Xavier,
Which I never knew that he had one. So
yeah.
I was like, is that a real character? Or did they just make this? I really don't know.
She's a real character.
Kind of hot, in a bald sort of way. Come on, right?
Yeah.
She seems like a British actress. So you're like, she's got to be in something I've seen. I just don't know what.
She's a British actress. She's been in a few things, not a lot. Just like the girl who played X-23, she went on to do a few more things, but Logan and this was her big movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, it's unlike Charles, she does where she has to physically touch, put your fingers in your head, and it makes comments like, "Oh, wash your hands," and basically all that stuff. They make fun of it. They were told by Johnny that if anybody can get him out of there, get him out of this place, get him home would be Cassandra, and they end up basically breaking free, but only after Wade says like, "Oh, well, don't kill us, you should listen to Johnny over there. Who's basically just calling all these different names and stuff." And then Johnny goes tries to fly up and uses powers, and then his flames come turned off. He lands on the ground, and they meatball him.
Yeah.
He catches over, takes basically de-skins him, and then crumbles him into a big meat pile. He's like meat wad at that point. They kill him. He's like, ooh. They managed, and then because those who watch Loki, there's this cloud monster that basically disintegrates anything it touches.
Yeah, I had no idea what that was supposed to be. Seriously.
Yeah, it's Galactus in the cloud form. Just kidding. That's I was joked about because of the bad Fantastic Four. But anyway, they quickly get out. They use a former a rocket boot from probably from a Sentinel, and they jump out of there and they land somewhere else. They go to the diner. Wolverine still kind of mopey, goes in and he's sniffing around, finds some. What was it?
Spam.
Well, they got spam. They're eating spam, but he wanted the other. He rubbing alcohol. He starts drinking. He's like, "Oh, don't drink that," because he want to get drunk. And yeah, so then they end up fighting, and they run around. They keep walking, and they get in his van. The van because Wade, when he basically retired, he was working at a car place, a car lot.
CarMax.
He hates Odysseys. They're horrible, and as they're walking and stuff, outside, all of a sudden this little dog cart starts running towards them in the fields. They're like, what the heck is this?
Playing Christberg's Lady in Red.
Yes,
1984.
Yes, there's a lot of that, and he runs out. He's like, "Oh, who would bound you?" And it's like, and
an appropriate reaction for the dog if you saw it.
Yeah,
it's a really cute thing.
Oh, it's cute dog. It's a cute dog.
It's probably 18 years old, that tongue hanging out. It might be the world's ugliest dog. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, seriously, they have a contest every year, and it reminds me of one that won it a few years ago. So I don't know if it's that.
I think because they had the mohawk and they had the tongue hanging out, the little tongue inside.
Yeah.
So it belongs to another Deadpool. This Deadpool is Wade with a perfect face. He's got the long blonde hair and stuff. And he's like very sensitive and very nice, and so he's like, "What the hell?" He's like, so he's like, you guys need to ride somewhere? He's like, here. He's like, and he gives them like, what's this? He's like, it's an Odyssey. He's like, son of a bitch, you gotta drive. He's like, I'm not driving this Odyssey. Then they start driving. They're listening to Avril, one of the songs. It's "Somebody Take Me Home." It's a long way home, or something like that. And so they basically him and Wolverine's driving, Wade's in the passenger seat, and then he said, and when Wolverine catches up, but he said, "You said if," because he basically said like, "Hey, the TV everyone could fix their world," and but you said if though, and then they fight the whole.
I like this fight in here actually.
This is great. The fight
is kind of fun. I liked it. It kind of had almost a Hong Kong feel to it, and that they were making use of what situation they're in. Right, we've talked about that here on Extreme Movie Show. We've gone through a lot of action movies lately, martial arts films, Hong Kong, and some others, and it kind of give me that feel to it, which I prefer something like that as opposed to the opening scene that was just, the usual 50 people come up and all get whacked, and that means nothing. This was pretty cool. And you notice they were fighting all through the night and into the morning because the sun set, and then it came up.
and just everything, and just because the claws and the groin, and just it's just everything. It's just and then they as they're going, again after this, they get they come across this is where we see Blade. Then we see Elektra.
Yeah.
Jennifer Garner, Elektra, Wesley Snipes, Blade. Blade still looks good. Wesley Snipes, I don't care. How dare you say
he can still play it in his 60s. Yeah. I'm not lying. He's legit. Yeah. He's legit martial arts.
Everybody said he's too old, and it said screw you.
Screw you. Exactly.
Yeah. And he's like, and they even make a joke about Blade. They didn't even know their Blade movie.
And he sound. You know what? It's that movie came out 98, and I still say that's one of the best Marvel, DC, whatever you want to call it, superhero, supervillain movies ever.
Yes.
And it was rated R, and I've said, God, I'm looking forward to this because I really honestly thought all these movies, because the Star Wars stuff was trash to me. It was very juvenile. Mm-hmm. The Blade was so adult-like, and it was very hip and cool, and Wesley was a big part of that. Because again, like Reynolds, it was a passion project for him. And I thought, oh, right, they're going to make all these juvenile comic book movies adult-like. That's going to be awesome because we're all adults now, and I don't think it's really gone that way. And I'm not trying to stir shit up here.
No,
it's not what it's been 25, 26 years, and it seemed like it seemed, other than having a little bit of white in his goatee, obviously because of his age, it's like he didn't miss a beat. He talked just like Blade. Everything about it was
Blade.
Great.
He had the same daggers, everything. It's great. Jennifer Garner, because of age, but she still looked good in the suit. And then we get something that we were supposed to get, we never got. We get
I understood this. Go ahead.
Channing Tatum as Gambit.
Yep.
Oh, it was so great. He even did the cart floating in the carts floating in there as he grabbed with carts, he could charge them. He had the accent down, and Wade's like, "What the hell? Can you speak English?" What kind of dialect is that? I love great. And then they run into Laura Kinney. She's the one from Logan, and she sees, and it kind of she's the one that talks sense into Wolverine, who's just basically was sitting there. Basically, he was drinking Gambit's Jack Daniels, and Gambit threw a card in and exploded the bottle. And he's like, nope, just grabs another one. But so later on, Wolverine's out there sitting outside the campfire, and then we finally get the backstory and everything about what's going on with him, why he's considered the worst Wolverine by the TVA. It's because he's the guy that never wanted to be the team. They didn't want to let him know. And then the humans came, killed all the mutants ever at that back of the mansion while he was away somewhere else, moping around. And so he blamed himself, and he's all alone. That's why he hates himself. He just, he's wanted to die, but he can't die. And she's like, and she's basically, Laura says, we need you. He's like, it's like, I'm not the guy you want. It's like, it's like, she's like, that's right. You're never the guy we want until we need you. Or something like that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And honestly, Rob, I'm with you. It kind of felt weird because the last time I saw this girl, she was probably 9 years old.
Yep.
Now she's 19.
She got a little booty to her. I actually thought she did a really good job, but the thing is, she puts on those stupid little glasses to make her look like she's 12.
That was her thing, though, from the first movie. It was a callback.
Was it?
Yeah, callback. Okay. She had the sunglasses she got when they were traveling. So
okay, I missed that.
Yeah, it was kind of a nod to her personality. And so they're
fine in here. Yeah, they were all good.
So they all rallied them up. They all go there. They're gonna go back to basically the Cassandra Nova, and they said they can't get the Cassandra Nova unless they get past Juggernaut.
Juggernaut's got the helmet that will block, I guess, the psychic ability of her.
He's like,
Magneto's dead, so they're
He's like, I love it. I love it. He's like, well, this is Wade's like, well, this is Magneto. You guys say Magneto. Like, he's dead. Damn it! Do you know that?
So here's the thing with Ryan Reynolds. I just want to pop in there because there's a lot of dialogue in here, a lot of words, which I don't mind. And
Yeah.
again, some of the jokes, if you're not like familiar with a lot of things like that, you might miss on it. It's not that I think he's funny, because I don't think he is, but I think he's very quick reacting to people talking, and I appreciate that kind of intellect that people have. Chevy Chase had it, but Chevy Chase is also funny. But Chevy Chase could also be a bit sarcastic, mean, and I think that Ryan can have it sarcastic, but it doesn't come across as either tough or mean. And I'm not being negative; it's not cute, but he definitely has a very good ability to do that. And there's a part of me, despite the fact he's had a long, successful career, that Deadpool's probably the one thing that immediately comes to mind that makes me go, Ryan Reynolds probably still has a movie or two that he hasn't been in yet that will take 100% full advantage of that ability. Because here it really shines. It's made for him. It doesn't seem like he's just reading off a bunch of stuff or popping a bunch of jokes rapid fire because he can. It just seems like he's so good at it. It's like, what would be a good role to have him do it? And I get Deadpool, it is that, and so it's a match. But I feel like Ryan Reynolds could even take it to another level. I really do.
Yeah, if he wanted to, like, but he's kind of holding it back because it has to be PG-13.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I've been having fun with that. This whole movie so far. I've been, all the little jokes stuff in there, all the comments, side comments he makes against Fox, against Disney and stuff. You know, you can't do this in Disney, you can't do this, and he's like, so eventually they end up basically, yeah, they go back, find, they manage to get Juggernauts and all his helmet off and stuff, and they're gonna put it on Cassandra's head. Well, while she's basically Wade does while she's probing Wolverine's basically mind and stuff, and then they realize the only way they can get out of here is through her, and here comes Aaron Stanford, aka Pyro, who's been working for Proxima this whole time. He's his killer, and basically he comes in, he shoots her, and she's bleeding. She's like, you idiots! If I can't save you, you got to take this helmet off. And he's like, yeah, but take the helmet off, you're gonna kill us. He's like, exactly. But then, like, their luck, they take the helmet off. You know, I think Pyro dies. I think she kills Pyro. I can't remember how he dies, but because I saw this on Friday. I don't know. Was it Friday? Saturday. Anyway, and yeah, and so basically, after this, they end up. She ends up opening the portal and stuff, and she goes to base because she has a ring sling that she got from Doctor Strange. What Doctor Strange had died down there, so she has a ring sling, and she uses that, and she goes back to the TVA, or actually not that TVA, but over to Wade's original world, and they quick jump and they follow through there while the monsters come in, and it looks like everyone else gets killed by the monster, I guess, or sacrifice themselves, just so they can jump through. They made the last minute, and then. Because she's going to go take control of the machine. She wants to destroy all the multiverse. So that way the only thing that's left is her waste world.
Yeah, because she's butthurt. She wants to rule the world.
Yeah. Because she usually had to deal with this Proximus guy, TVA guy, you know, like, oh, you stay in your world, I'll stay in my world. You leave me alone, you know. And but because he broke the deal, so when Wolverine and Wade are going to team up, you know, again one last time to go try and save his own world. And they get yeeted across into Rob Liefeld's feet store. You know, that's a nod to Rob Liefeld. You know, all about feet. Yeah, they said Liefeld's all about feet because he's the creator of Deadpool. And the joke is he can't draw feet. For those, you know. Anyway, so after that, it was you got all these Deadpools started popping up. And it was like
one from each different culture around the world.
Called by Deadpool was Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, I didn't know that. And the blonde had to be somebody. The one that came out first.
The blonde was actually Blake Lively.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha. That makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. I should have got that.
No, the reason why she's there because she had no idea at first that she was going to be casted like that until she had a conversation with Rob Liefeld on Instagram, and she's like, "What, really?" And then all the music they put in there was because it's Blake Lively's everything she likes.
Okay.
You know, and she, you know, there was Ryan Reynolds. He did that for her as a special thing, not to her.
Gotcha.
Because she's been his ride or die since he started doing all these things. You know, they got together. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, so that's why you get all this. And so basically you got Kidpool. There's even Headpool, which is a zombie floating with a helicopter. That was Nathan Fillion voicing him.
Okay.
Because they're friends. So basically they were hired by Cassandra Nova to stand in the way and keep them from getting to her. And so this is probably the best thing we've been waiting for the past 20 years, probably, since one of the first X-Men movie. Wolverine's got the suit on, pulls the mask down.
Yeah, everyone popped hard for that
Holy
because it's
crap.
so. Oh my god, they did right, and it's honestly the suit itself doesn't look good, but the fact that he's able to not look like somebody that, like, I've always said that you get a lot of actors say that just like put on a suit, put on 20 pounds, but they don't look like they're comfortable in it. They know how to move in it. He does. Right.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. This is a very old fashioned one-off type thing. He's playing a loser Wolverine with his own redemption arc here and all that too. You're absolutely right, because you don't think about it what's going on here, because you got like the running gag of like the ugly dog that he keeps wanting to take from the really, really nice Deadpool, right? Which is significant here in a moment we'll talk about. But when he takes that and he puts that on, like, okay, I'm all in. You're like, fuck yeah. I mean, even I was like, okay, I'm not a big fan of this stuff, but that was cool.
He got into the Wolverine pose though. So if you've ever seen a comic book of Wolverine, the mask, and he's got the pose, the claws out.
Yep.
And then they get into side panels here in base where they're just going through wave after wave of Deadpool, and he's just killing them. And they cut their bus and stuff and all. And they shoot. They're fighting in a bus. You see the blood spats on the wall, on the window, the inside of the bus. And then they get through this, but then it's like they realize, oh crap, they all have regenerative properties. So they quick run to hide behind
the car.
Behind the car.
And you know what they do when everybody comes back? Go ahead, tell them.
Yes, because the little dog comes towards them. And he's like, "Oh, I got dog pull."
We'll time out.
Go
ahead.
The little dog first comes here, but then you see the little dog pull. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you can't be here!" It's like, "But you're so cute." And he's like, but then the handsome Deadpool comes over to them, and they're like, "Hold on, he's got him like, he's like, they're going through. He's like, they're not going to shoot you.
Is it okay if I take it?
Yeah, because so Wade takes him, and he's gonna go over to the left, go through, and they start shooting him. I was like, I had no idea. It's like, and he looks at me. He's like, I'm like, and they keep shooting him, and you see blood come out, and he quick jumps over with them. He's like, wait, you don't have regenerative healing factor? He's like, I had no idea. And Wunmi's like, you dick, you just bullet shield. Yep. You did it because you knew he didn't have it. You just want the dog. And he's like, that's how dare you accuse me or whatever. It's like, it's just and like, so he goes back over. He's like, don't worry, you're doing fine. He's like, I can't feel my legs. He's dragging them, and then the head pops. And then next thing you know, you see on the other side that Wade gets over there. And he's like, dude, CPR, come on, damn it.
Yeah, he's only got like half a torso. So then all the eyes turn over to Wolverine, who's hiding underneath a car, and all you see is the edge of the car, half the shot, whatever. And then what do you see? You see a dog pop up because he's holding up, and everyone's like, hold it! And everyone's like, yeah, we can't shoot the dog. Like I told you, you're not supposed to, right? So he uses that as his own shield to come over and show him. I admit that was pretty funny, because I've told you that's how people should treat dogs in movies.
Yes. But so they manage to get down to the subway, and they run into the proximity guy, because he had been there, and Cassandra went down ahead while they're fighting, probed his mind, figured out how this works, submachine works, and she's gonna basically wrap herself around the antimatter and the matter coils in this space. He destroy everything, and he runs into Wolverine and Deadpool, and he basically says like, "Well, the only way to stop is if you take one of you, you're gonna die." And your general healing will not save you. You gotta grab the antimatter and connect it to them an antimatter, and have them touch. They'll cause a big feedback, and they're not supposed to touch each other. And
the whole antimatter gravity bullshit crap stuff.
Yeah. So they go down and
negative wires.
So Wade, having heard that he's selfish and stuff, he doesn't think thinking back to it, he's like, no, I got this. I'm going to save my world. I'm going to sacrifice myself. Locks the door so Wolverine can't get in. He starts grabbing the coils. He's like, he saw him. He's Wade's like kind of like leaning over. He's like, I can't barely reach it. But then his arm's grabbed by Wolverine, who knocks the door down. Yeah. And the reason Wolverine's, for those who don't know, reason like Wolverine can knock down the thick steel thing is because he has an adamantium freaking skeleton. Yeah. They can just keep running into it. He's heavy. It's heavy too. And so they both grab it, and they grab hands, and they basically let the power go through them, and then it causes a feedback, and allows them to instead of because the counter was going down, it goes like it's 95% racing stuff, and then it goes back up. Cassandra Nova gets vaporized, and they save the world. Next thing you know, you see them kind of like the TVA shows up, the Amanda Waller wannabe. I think they call her B-15 or B-16 or something. I can't remember her name was in the TVA. She shows up, and then she takes and they learn the story. Because first she shows up first, and she was talking to Proximus guy from the TVA, and he says, "Oh, they're my friends, and they died saving this world, blah blah." It's like it's a legal machine he has there. TVA did not prove it. And then Deadpool, Wolverine show up, and he's like, "Son of a bitch!" And they think like, "Yeah, Dickless here, basically, try to destroy this." And like TVA arrests him, take him away, and he has like, "Well, can you save my friends?" He's like, there's nothing we can do to fix his world and all. It's if anything, Wolverine, you seem like you're already fixed as it is. You were broken, now you're fixed. And they basically stays on Wade's world as a new anchor to keep Wade's because it actually causes his world to not die anymore. The threads start rebuilding because Wolverine's on there. And the next thing you know, they see them. They're kind of like on a bench. Not eating ice cream, but they're like, they're sitting there, and he's got the little dog pool,
Yep.
And they're just having conversation.
Dog pool. That's right. That's what they call them, dog pool. That's right.
Yeah.
He had his outfit too the whole time.
Yeah. It was actually a she. We learned out that was actually a female dog. But anyway, yeah. They go their own separate ways. Then they cut, and then the next thing you know, you see them like they're back at Wade's birthday party, and Wolverine's there along with Laura, because basically they TVA allowed them to save his friends. So I was like, oh, there's no Electro, there's no Gambit, and there's no like Blade. And I'm like, no. But they managed to save Laura, and I thought it was really cool. They had a nice happy ending, and then he basically, Hugh Jackman's character Wolverine says like, dude, why don't you go talk to her, let her know it's like, and talk to you. He's like, okay. And they basically make up, and then they have a future together. So that's kind of how it ends, basically a happy ending, and then there's a credit scene that shows mid-credit scenes shows about the makings behind the scenes of Wolverine, all other X-Men movie stuff with young Logan stuff, interviews stuff, and at the end, the after credit scene is basically Wade puts on. He's a TVA station. He's like, here, you thought I was lying about him saying, Johnny Storm saying all that crap about Cassandra Nova. So he plays the tape because and it goes back to when they're in the little dome thing being carried, prison transfer, and Chris Evans recites every single word that Wade Wilson had said earlier. I loved it because it's a plan. Because remember Captain America doesn't say bad words, but this is Johnny Storm.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how it ends. Nice little happy ending. And he also says he's like Wolverine, Logan, you're now stuck here with Disney they're gonna have you working till you're 90 because you came back.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it was yesterday or Comic-Con they announced that Robert Downey Jr.'s back in a new Avengers movie, playing Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom, and Avengers called Doomsday or something like that. And I was just like, what? So yeah, once you come back, you can't leave, apparently. But
let me ask you, this has been going on for 20 plus years now, and it's not 100% on Disney for how all the movies have gone today. You can say they screwed up every franchise they've bought or gotten involved in. Is this stuff? I don't know, but I'm under the impression there's a lot of people out there that enjoy comic books, graphic novels. A young generation that's grown up seeing nothing but these movies dominate the box office, for better, for worse. For worse, if you're asking me, a bit of an old timer. Are we ever going to see a pause in all this stuff or not, you think, in our lifetime?
Well, considering this movie is a box office hit, and now it hinges on what they're going to do as far as for DC. I mean, how Superman does. If James Gunn's universe flops, which I think it might do well. I'm not sure yet. I'm not going to hold my breath for it either. But I think it's going to go for at least another 10 years. Maybe.
Wow.
5 the most.
Wow.
It's hard to say because a lot of these movies are made every 3 years. Another one comes out, So I don't know. It's hard to say. But if you asked me before this movie came out, I'd say, yeah, I give it like maybe 2 or 3 more years and it's done. But as long as Ryan Reynolds doing Deadpool, I think there'll always be some kind of superhero thing, you know.
I think for Ryan Reynolds, one of the things about him, and like I say, making this an adult level of one, even though this one's kind of goofy, campy, a lot of in stuff, the fourth wall, all the stuff that he likes about the character, he's been consistent with it over 3 films now. It's been a several year spread between each, which I think is smart. I think he could only return to this so many times, because I think some of the goodwill in this movie is the fact that other things happen culture that he can poke and make fun of. So I think you have to let a little bit of time go by before the character can have a lot of the jokes written in to be funny. And so I think that was one of the more surprising things to me, and refreshing actually for this movie, is that he was willing to make fun of like Fox and other things too. And so I appreciated that.
It's nothing we haven't seen before. Those who watch Arrow, when they had Constantine on there, Matt Ryan's character, he scratches back with a peacock feather, basically giving an FU to NBC for canceling his show.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen something like this, but it's always fun because it's really done.
Yeah, and it seemed like he had fun with it.
Oh, I mean, and that's the thing. And I said, for those who are not really big in the superhero thing films, the Deadpool movies are always been my favorite, because you don't have to worry about all the drama and all the fake whatever Thanos and all that stuff. You know, you can just focus on him. It's Ryan Reynolds. It's popcorn fun. There's going to be a lot of gratuitous violence and sexual comments. There's some homoeroticism with Deadpool and stuff. Yes. Because and it's not because he's gay. It's just because he does it because it irks people. You know.
Right, and you know, we've gotten so sensitive, not just, you know, because we don't really hate watch or dive into politics here. We usually only talk about what's pertinent to the story. So the one observation we've made, since we've covered a lot of TV shows and movies from different decades in different all over the world, really, is that, you know, the 80s had a certain feel, and it turned into a different feel in the late 80s. The 90s is different, and we cover all this here on Extreme Movie Show for all of you that go listen, especially your newer ones. It's interesting because we just, before this movie, were live, Professor Pixel, the young 20-something guy here on the Extreme Movie Show. We were doing our 4th episode of this TV show called Forever Night. And it's about a sensitive vampire who's been around a really long time, who's trying to make amends for him taking from the world, you know, killing people, by being a police detective in Toronto. And it's just a different view on it. But a lot of stuff that would come later, like Buffy, while people loved Buffy and it was fun, it was kind of campy and juvenile. Whereas this show was a late night TV show, Forever Night, that had a lot of serious stuff in it. And it's like, it's still amazing to me how you can produce stuff like a Deadpool that's rated R, more adult-like, with jokes, and it still be cool. And even though it was made for regular TV at the time, Forever Night has some slight eroticism and sexuality, nothing major, no shots of anybody. And that's one thing I sit there and say that, you know, I found refreshing here is he's not afraid to talk about his body, to talk about other people, like you say, whether he's making cracking jokes. There's no nudity. There's nothing adult-like in movies hardly at all today. Like, that was so prevalent in the 80s and 90s and just seemed to die out. And I don't know if that's a function of comic book movies generally dominating the current movie sphere or what, but it's certainly noticeable. In this movie, you're like, oh, why can't you make a movie like this? You can. People will go see it.
So I'm going to quickly do this before we wrap up, because I got to leave in a few minutes. Morena, I wouldn't mind a pause in superhero movies, because where have been the action movies from the 80s? They're gone. They've gone. You know, they're gone out east. They're in Hong Kong. They're not in China. They're not in America anymore. The last action movie we've had with anything was with Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Why should we pause super movies? More on you saying, I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't, because it's not. I'm just saying they dominate it and they make it, but it's the whole tentpole strategy, right? All your dependent stuff gets crowded out, and even though more movies are made now than ever before, especially stuff with on TV, everything's pretty much the same. You don't really have much of a genre today. I would argue against that. I don't think it's as prevalent as it was in the 80s or 90s.
There's horror movies, and then you have superhero movies right now.
Yeah.
There's some dramas here and there, but that's about it. The action movies
was a comic bookish adult movie that I liked, kind of horror-ish too, you know. So there's definitely a market for it. And Ryan Reynolds is, you could say what you want about him, but I think he's pretty smart about the way he's approaching his career. I will give him that, definitely. Not a bad movie, you know. Again, it's not my type of movie, but I had fun with it. It was enough. You're absolutely right, RDV. Pure popcorn film. Was a fun summer watch.
Yeah, it's just, as you said, just relax, to sit back and watch it. There's no any of the stuff that's been ruining it, the MCU. None of the feminists, none of this politics, all that crap. It was just straight up just fun.
Yeah,
that's all it was, and that's all you need in a film, really. This had the weakest storyline, but it was fun.
Yeah,
because the dialogue, it was Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds finally just being bros in a movie. That's all it was.
Yeah,
and that's what works. So, all right. So that's it. My final thoughts. If you watched the Deadpool movies or you watched the first two, and maybe you didn't like the second one as much. It wasn't all right, because I was more a fan of the first one. The second one was okay. This blows both of them out of the water. This has been fun. This is my favorite movie since No Way Home, as far as Marvel movies go.
Nice.
And it deserves that title as being right up there with No Way Home. I think it's fun. It's fan service for everyone. So I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah,
and
there you go. I am too. I was dreading it, to be honest with you, a little bit, but
I was like, ooh, Rob's not a superhero guy, and I'm like, he's not really a big Ryan Reynolds guy too. The humor, because somebody does, because we've reviewed other movies, and I'm like, he's nice, but I could tell he's like, yeah, this kind of sucks. so I was like, this is a lot of Ryan Reynolds, but hey, you got Hugh Jackman. Yeah, I know he likes Hugh Jackman.
Once Blake leaves Ryan and he gets a little bit more bitter in his personal life, he'll probably find better movies. Oh my God, did I just say that?
We'll get angry comedy. All right. We're going to let this go under here, guys. Hope you had fun. And if you haven't seen this and you're watching the spoilers, we thank you for being spoiling yourself. But go out and watch this movie. Go support it. Go support the good films. Don't support the bad MCU films.
Good night now.
All right. Later, guys.